I've been told before, this is probably a stat that you might talk about at some point. People fear public speaking more than death. I mean, more than death. There's nothing after, nothing after death. I mean, public speaking, you can go on. But they fear it more than death, which speaks volumes for public speaking. So that's why if you have an opportunity to do something like this, and it could be anything, we do have them in corporate America, there's other programs out there, but I encourage everybody to take advantage of a program that suits their needs, because it is critical. You've got to be able to express yourself. And if you cannot do that, people don't know what's behind you. I do a lot of interviews at work for positions, and the thing about me when I do an interview is that person needs to sell themselves to me. I don't need to sell myself. They're looking for my job, and they need to sell themselves to me. And many people fail at that. And it's disappointing, because I look at the resumes and I see, oh, this one went to NYU, this one went to Cornell, this one went to City College. And you'd be surprised how many people at those upper echelon schools, they don't do a good job. They don't do a nice job presenting themselves and selling themselves. So they can have the smarts, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to present themselves. So that's why I think public speaking courses will help you not only to present in a fashion like this, but just to present yourself in a smaller setting as well, in an interview, in a meeting. Some of our meetings are big, some of them are small. If you can master public speaking, you can take that anywhere, into any kind of a setting. My wife's a teacher, and even though she's teaching, how old are the kids? 8, 6, and 7? She still has to perform in front of them. And even if it's only 6 and 7-year-olds, they still could judge you a little bit, and right? And even though it's not it's not an adult who's a peer of yours, some people will be intimidated by that, right? And if you're enrolled in the right type of a public speaking course, it can take all that away from you, which is really important. And I tell you, there's a lot of smart people out there, and a lot of creative and witty people, but they don't know how to express themselves. And that's really what it comes down to. And I did have I had a few of them, public speaking courses through corporate America. And I really valued those, because I'm a people person, and I talk a lot, and I'm sorry I won't be too much longer, but I talk a lot. And this is like a great setting for me to do this.
But
right?
You have enough time. You continue.
But I talk a lot, but that's what I do. That's I call it my specialty. And it's just getting along with people. That's I'm in provider relations. I run provider relations at my organization for the Northeast. So I have to be good at speaking with people. So that's what I focus on. I'm not the books guy and the most clever guy around, but I can speak to people, and not everybody can do it. I was out yesterday with somebody, and he was sweating profusely, and I didn't know why at first, and then I thought about it, and afterwards I asked him. I said, "Were you nervous? Were you nervous at that meeting?" He's like, I kind of was, because I didn't want to let him know that, but I could tell that he was, because it wasn't hot, and I get hot very easily, and I wasn't hot, and he was, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I really thought, and he was kind of like, I was a little, in case the meeting went sideways, I was a little worried about that, and I was, okay, so it just was, this was an adult that was, an experienced person, and I thought about it. I thought about this today, and I was like, that's why it is so important to get yourself involved with something like this, so that you can do a nice job, you can represent. It just opens doors for you. It really does, and it takes away the fear also. And there's a lot to it, and I'm sure you guys get into it about But you gotta invest in it too. You know, when you do this, it just doesn't, okay, I went to Toastmasters, I'm good to go. It's not the way it works. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes preparation, right? But, you know, this will certainly teach you a lot of skills that will be valuable. And you should be able to then speak confidently in a small setting or a large setting. You know, and I've spoken in big rooms with hundreds of people, and I've spoken with a handful of people, and I just speak one-on-one as well. And, you know, my public speaking courses and programs that I've taken in the past they always help me with that, and I always remember them. I took these programs probably 25, 30 years ago, and there's things I remember, and I always remember them. You know, like it's day one for me, and that's important. So, you know, if you pay attention, you invest in this program, you'll remember those things, and you'll remember them later on. Before you do something, say, okay, wait, I've got to maintain eye contact, and then when I'm finished with my sentences, I go to the next person, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I go to the next person. And the confidence that you have and preparation, you got to know your material too. You know, so the courses like this will teach you about some of that, and how to do an effective job public speaking. But, you know, I guess the point for me, and I'm a councilman, so at times, I should say all the time, and my wife knows this too, I'm called upon to, you know, to make mini speeches everywhere I go. You know, I go places and they're like, oh, come on up and say something. What? I mean, so it happens all the time, whether I'm at the Boy Scouts, or I'm at I'm with the firemen, or I'm wherever else I'm at, right? Everywhere I seem to go, they want to hear from the councilman. So, you know, the thing is that public speaking is a skill you can bring anywhere, into any setting. And, you know, even with your children, you have children, you've got to be able to present yourself well there. So public speaking is something you could take with you anywhere, and you could use it in any format, in any forum too. So it's very important. And as I said, as I started out, people fear it. It's easy. I think it's easy to overcome that fear with some dedication and a good program. So hopefully, you know, this will catch on some more, because a lot of smart people out there, a lot of talented people, and especially nowadays with COVID, right? Everybody's been indoors for a long time. When they get outside, they're like, oh my gosh, how do I do this again, right? And then also the work environment is tough right now. A lot of people are out of work and are looking for jobs. So this is important for them, because as I said, one-on-one in an interview, you're still doing some public speaking there. It's not amongst, you know, your wife or your friends. You're in a setting where it really counts. So a program like this will really help you get over the hump. You can be smart, but if you don't know how to express yourself, it's not going to go further. So in a climate like ours, where a lot of people are looking for work, that'll sell you over somebody else. If you could do a nice job with that, people look for that sort of stuff. I do. You know, as I said, I'm in provider relations. I've got 100 people that report to me. And what they need to do is they need to be able to talk to people. And if they can't, then they're not going to have a long-term career with me, because that's what they need to do. And you'd be surprised how many people cannot do that. So this is for you guys, it's probably one of the best first steps that you could take. And I hope you continue along that path, because it will really make a difference. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see many people here as well. And I'm happy to stay involved in the class with you guys today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.